let's give another round of applause to Jenny and her team. And honestly, an amazing group of women that I've had the opportunity to work with, a lot of them for years, working with the life sites. And I have to say, a couple weeks ago, I was looking at the invitation online, and I had Jenny's picture, and then I had mine second. And I was a bit nervous that I was following Jenny, and I thought she was sharing her story with us this year. Because you want to talk about strength, that girl is strong. So I think she needs with that, our theme tonight is inspiring strength, and when Jenny did ask me to speak, I did laugh at her on the phone, and I just said to her, I'm like, Jenny, I'm a mom of 3 boys, I'm surrounded by men, like, you know, I just really wasn't even sure what I was going to talk about tonight. But then I thought for a while about these really, really amazing women that are in my life and that inspire me, and so we're going to talk about that just a little bit this evening. So starting with my mother, of course, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and as I think back as during my childhood, my mom never sat down, and people tell me that about myself, like, Judy, you're just on the run all the time. I get that definitely from my mother. She was always cleaning, she was always running us around. There were 4 siblings, and always in the yard, and definitely always helping other people. My parents, by far, are the most giving people that I've ever met in my entire life. So growing up as a child, we rehabbed a homeless man's home so that he was able to live back in that home. My dad was a volunteer fireman. My mom was on the auxiliary. These are things that I grew up with. And so, again, just from my childhood, I've always just had that passion for wanting to help others. So my involvement in Kiwanis and just a number of things giving back into the community, that definitely stems back from my childhood and from my parents. Although it's never easy, we do have to dig deep within ourselves and find our own strengths. And that is what I had to do after walking out of an abusive relationship after 6 years and 2 babies on each of my hips. For years, I had friends and family that would really try to talk me out of leaving this relationship and wondered why I was there, and I never really knew. But I'll tell you, it took a lot of strength in me to walk away, and I couldn't really tell you the one incident that occurred that allowed me to just pack whatever I had at that time and just walk out and never look back. But it definitely was a situation in my life that taught me how strong I am. And I do hope one day to be a mentor to other teenagers that were in situations like that as myself. After leaving, I then became a little bit selfish and really focused on my life, and which started with going back to school. I went to school in the evening and then worked during the day to help support my kids, of course with the support of my parents. And during that time, I met my future husband. And we would spend a lot of weekends in Indianapolis. We were from Northwest Indiana, and so we'd go down to Indy for the weekend. I always loved kind of the bigger city. And so we had decided that we would just save money and we would just move down there. Neither one of us had jobs. We just kind of, packed our bags, went down there in hopes of finding jobs. And this is where I would start my career in the senior living industry, and I would also have my 3rd son. While working in Indy, I met my mentor, Katie Sabaji. She was a consultant for the senior living company that I was working for at the time. The company was in the process of opening 3 new buildings back in Northwest Indiana, where I was from. And she had approached me about being part of the team that would open those buildings. And I had not been in the industry very long. I was fresh out of college. Had 3 babies at home. I couldn't even believe that she was asking me to do this, but I was honored. She was going to mentor me through the process, and so I did that. And we then moved to Valparaiso with our family. After moving to Valpo, we became very involved in the community. Our boys, of course, played sports. We got involved in our church, and this is where I would meet some really influential women. And people like Amanda Rose, after being a nurse for years, she fell in love with a camera and would start taking pictures. And she found out that she was pretty good at it, and she quit her nursing job and she started her own photography company. People like Angie Crossan, who's also a mother of 3 boys, and regardless of how busy her life is, she is always there for her kids' big game. Or Mrs. Gingrich, my son's first grade teacher that would spend countless hours on the phone with me every evening just to talk about how we could make my son a better student. And this was time away from her family that she spent. And she just always wanted every single one of her students to do their personal best. And then there's these women that I just know that God put in my life for a reason. These are women that have been knocked down and they just keep getting back up again, and they do it all with a smile. They are just by far some of the strongest women that I know. There's a couple of them in the crowd today, so I'm not going to make eye contact. Sandra Schaefer. This woman has fought cancer a couple times. She's a single mom and she's a very successful realtor. And did I mention she's a Marine? She is at the gym 4 or 5 days a week, bright and early. She is my inspiration for always working out. Marsha Leonard, she dealt with the loss of a child. She's caring for her mother. She has an extremely stressful job, but yet she still always makes time for her friends, like coming here tonight when I told her to stay home, and is here to support them. Patricia Flatt, a wonderful woman of 5 children who had finally walked away from a very abusive relationship and raised her children to be kind, loving, and very successful. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share my story with you and some of the women that inspire strength and influence, and the influence that they have in my life. I encourage you to look around the room at your friends and your family and think about their strengths. As a society, we're really quick to point out people's weaknesses. But I promise there are some really amazing women in your life, and they're doing some amazing things. This week I did reach out to every one of these women that I talked about today, and just mentioned to them that I was gonna talk about them tonight. And I was completely overwhelmed by their responses. Responses of, Judy, wow, I read your message 2 or 3 different times. And these are all women that are just strong, amazing women, but when you just need to be told that once in a while. And so that's what I encourage you to do. I encourage you to think about that strong woman in your life and just send her a message, send her a card, send her a text, and just let her know how you feel about her. In closing, I'd like to share a story with you that really affected me and is going to be a true test of my strength this year. A couple of months ago, we had a guest speaker at church, and he had shared with us his story about his mission work and his journey to bring clean water to third world countries and to bring water to third world countries. And at the end of the sermon, he had encouraged all of us to attend a meeting if we felt like the sermon touched us, to attend a meeting about signing up to run the Chicago Marathon and to raise funds for those that really need clean water. So I went to the meeting, and at that time they wanted you to sign up for the marathon right then, right now. So I did it. My hand was shaking. I don't even know how they read my information when it was just shaking. I've never run more than 6 miles, and I had just signed up to run 26 miles. So as I did some research about the organization, and I learned more about these women and these children that do have to walk miles with buckets and buckets of water, heavy water, it helps me put my fears aside about running this marathon. I do plan on sharing my marathon journey through my social media, and so I would love all of your support. If we're not friends through social media, my name is on your little tent card, so feel free to friend me. But again, it's going to be definitely a test of my strength, and I'm really looking forward to sharing my story with you guys. So Go women.